Hey everybody, welcome back to Havoc Maker Studio. My name is John, and we're going to talk about GenCon 2023, which I attended just a few weeks ago. I held off on putting out my previous video that I did for GenCon. It just wasn't the best of quality, and I wanted to be able to be a little bit more focused. I was still worn out mentally and physically from the 13 and a half hour drive up, 13 and a half hour drive back, plus being at the con and having to walk about a mile and a half every day. Though I found a way around that to the convention. And then I think the first day I walked so much on Thursday, the opening day. My step thing said 17.2, or it might have been 17.3. Let's go 17.2 miles the first day. The days after that, it was around around 5.3, 5.4 miles every day after that, because I learned, and plus I had already gotten through everything that I needed to on that first day. That first day was really important, really critical that I hit all the locations, mainly in the exhibit hall, that I picked up all the swag. Everybody had made a massive list for me of stuff that they wanted. So even while I was there, I was getting text messages. Hey, by the way, they said that they have this as a con special. Could you go see this? Oh yeah, I'll go take a look. I mean, I walked, I think both hands. I had 2 or 3 bags in each. I'd say close to 50 pounds in each hand, plus my backpack full of stuff. I was wiped. I was so tired, so worn out. My back was hurting. I actually put on a back brace just to get through the con every day. It was just mind-blowing and physically debilitating, but it was a great experience overall. Gen Con is really a good experience at least once. Will I go back? It's possible. I don't know 100% if I will go back. There's some things I liked about it, some things I didn't. Because after a certain point, I was like, okay, I'm done running my games, which I was running games for Evil Genius Games. I was running their Everyday Hero system. I ran 6 games of that, and I worked in the booth, but which was a great experience. We'll do a separate video for that a little later on. But I already lost my train of thought. But after running the games and going over and buying the stuff, I was like, what do I do now? I was supposed to take some classes, but I bypassed those classes because I was so worn out from running games and then going over and walking around inside the exhibit hall and such, that I wanted to go back to my room. I was done at 5 or 6 o'clock every day. So maybe next time, if I'm running games, I don't know. We'll worry about that in 2024 if I'm going to go back. And if I do, I will likely be running games with Evil Genius Games. I am signed up, or I'm grandfathered in. I'm not sure what the best terminology is for their league play, if you will. Just kind of like the Adventurers League or the Pathfinder Society, that sort of thing. So they got their own thing that's coming. They announced that during Gen Con. So more on that in the future. We'll probably actually do some Discord style or maybe some live streaming games here on the channel and over on Twitch. We'll work that out as we get closer to that. At any rate, so the Gen Con experience overall was largely positive. A couple hiccups here and there. I would say if I had to put a percentage on it, and I'm being generous, I had a 5%. That's being generous. Let's go with 5% negative experience, which when you think about that, that's actually pretty damn good. And it's really, I would say about half of that is personal perception versus some sort of external factor. So I would say 3% of that was personal issues with it versus 2%, which was environmental factors. So that's actually not too bad. And for somebody who's got PTSD, anxiety, doesn't want to be around people in large quantities. I was really worried about going to Gen Con. But when I got there, all thoughts, all concerns of being around 70,000 people, which was, I think they said over 70,000 people, that was their highest attendance ever, that my mind just kind of forgot about it. It was really cool. Because even when I got back to my hotel room, I'm just like, holy crap, I can't believe I just got through that. And so if you've got that issue and it's what's barring you from going to Gen Con, just go. You'll forget about it because there's so much going on that your attention just becomes more focused on the activities versus the people. I think you'll be okay. If I can be okay, I think you can be okay. So that aside, let's talk about a few things about Gen Con to show off some pictures. Some of these are my pictures, some are not. Some things I can kind of recommend for you guys for Gen Con if you guys are going to go. I do have a video before, a couple days ago, or a couple weeks before this video. It was one of my most recent videos. It's like the top 10 things to do for going to a convention. I think that was the name of it. So what I can recommend is watch that video before you go to any sort of gaming convention or any convention really at the end of the day. There's going to be some really good tips in there that you can apply across any sort of convention. Whether it's gaming or not. The gaming stuff you just toss out. You don't need that, right? But you might be able to use it for something else, right? So at any rate, one thing I could recommend is day one. Unless you absolutely have to be there right at opening, bypass being there at 8 a.m. on Thursday. Wait till about 11 or 12. You're still going to get in. You're going to get your pass if you didn't order your pass or got it sent to you or whatever. You're still going to get it. You won't be in a mile and a half long line. I'm not exaggerating there. You won't be jam-packed with 70,000 people trying to cram in there on day one. Or really, it was about 14,000. I think they were averaging in the morning. So you won't be fighting that mass crowd. Wait till about 11 or 12. They're in there now. And you maybe got an early lunch. You're showing up around 11, 12 o'clock. Get your pass. I'm going to recommend if you got tickets to go to any of the events that they had listed, go ahead and just pay the extra money, have the tickets mailed to you. And if you can get the passes mailed to you, even better. Save yourself the trouble, guys. So then you get in, go to your games, and you don't even need, you need your pass to be able to go do the games, but you don't even need to go to the main hall, the ICC, the Indianapolis Convention Center, to do most of your games. Most of the games are going to be in the hotels that are adjoining and the stadium next door, whatever the sports ball stadium is next door. We'll show you a picture of that here in a second. Anyways, if you got your tickets, get your passes, and if you don't have to be in the exhibit hall or the ICC, then don't go that first few hours because there's going to be so many people trying to cram in there. Wait till about noon and then go on in. That's what I did. Well, I already had my pass as a GM for Evil Genius Games, so it was easy for me just to go on through. I didn't have to stand in any lines. Plus, I had ordered my tickets for all of my activities, and that made it a lot easier for me. So once you get in there, have a plan. Make sure you have a plan. Like, hey, these are the number one stores that I want to go to. And then once you hit those stores, then concentrate on everything else. Just go with the flow, whatever you want to do. But hit your must-haves right off the bat. Once you get in, hit them off. Because after day one, that's usually when the convention specials start running out. Okay? Think about that. Convention specials start running out after day one or by the end of day one. So if you're in there by noon, 1 o'clock, you're going to be okay. You're going to get what you're there for. But if you're waiting for those convention specials Friday and Saturday, there's chances are, especially with the smaller stores, there's chances are you're not going to get it. So just keep that in mind, please. All right, so let's move on. So this is the example. And once again, some of these pictures are not my own. We'll get to mine here in a little bit. This is the whatever the sports ball stadium is. I don't know if it's basketball, hockey. It kind of looks like baseball. No, that might be hockey. It doesn't matter. It's a sports ball team. You guys know what it is. And this is just one of the other gaming areas. So what they have set up for gaming areas is obviously the sports ball stadium. Then we had part of the ICC, the convention center, was for gaming. The other half was exhibit hall, and then all the two hotels that are attached to it had gaming going on in their various convention or their meeting rooms and such. I'll show you a picture of that later. So there's pretty much over about 2 or 3 blocks there. Let's just say if we compare it all together, let's say 2 blocks total, maybe 3 blocks total of gaming and merchandise going on. Plus they had food trucks out there, out the wazoo. It was a really cool experience. Then the exhibit hall, this is the one that I was saying, make sure you got a map, guys, because this is the crazy place. When you do have your map and when you're in there, if you find, let me just start with this. If you find a place that you're like, oh, what is that? Go into that store or go up to the counter. Do not stop, please, for the love of God. Don't stop in the middle of the aisle because you are literally disrupting the flow of 14,000 people trying to get around. And unless you like getting bumped into or pushed around by accident, then just get out of the way. Get out of the way. It's common courtesy. Right. I mean, if you look at like the manga cons, I guess you could bet. I don't know why I can't say it. The conventions like in Japan, you watch, they have a flow. You do not disrupt the flow. Here in America, we disrupt the flow like we don't care. So just get out of the way. Get out of the way. And then, if you're walking, just keep walking. Stop if you need to inside the booth or at the counter. Make it easy for everybody and yourself. So when you're going into the exhibit hall, make sure you got a map or at least like a list of, hey, these are the places I need to go. All the locations have like, hey, we're at booth 1601 or 1630 or whatever. Make sure that you have those numbers written down or memorized, and you'll see up in the ceiling, maybe even this picture, you can see the banners hanging up. All the different, the 1300 block, the 1600 block, etc. That way you can find the stores you're going to. Like me, I knew that I had to hit Kingdom Death and Modifius before anything else. So it was Kingdom Death right off the bat because their stuff goes like that. Then Modifius was second because I needed that Liberty Prime, which is going to be going up at ReaperCon in about 2 weeks. So, and then I had other places mapped out, but it was like beeline. You know, once I was done running my game for Evil Genius Games, I made a beeline here, power walked, which was I regret, and then got to all my different locations. And then once I hit everything, and even after I kept getting text messages that afternoon saying, hey, can you go over here? They got a con special also, and I'd like you to get it. Besides those emergency last minute things, Thursday, by the time I was done on Thursday, I had hit all the stores I needed to hit. I had 50 pounds, plus my backpack worth of product, and I was done. I didn't even stick around to, I had a class I was supposed to take on Thursday, and that I paid for, and I was just too exhausted. I was done. After walking 17.2, I think I covered total 17.2 miles that day on Thursday. I think it was like 5.2, 5.3 every day after that because I learned. But I was exhausted. So have a plan. Make sure you execute that plan. Then once you're done, then you can kick back and relax and enjoy the con. Right? So they had great things with like every store was had their own booths, obviously. Some of the booths were really difficult to get into, like the Catalyst games, the Kingdom Death. They all had queues to get into it. I think Paizo, Asmodee they were running it for Cool Mini or Not, Atomic Mass Games, and a few others were combined into the Asmodee booth. Then Corvus Belly didn't have a queue. Paizo, I believe, had a queue. Avalon Hill, a couple other places had queues that you had to get into the store because there's that many people trying to get into these must-see, must-have studios, right? And they were definitely worth it. I think by far the coolest studio, and I wish I would have taken some more pictures. I've got some pictures actually, but I had to blur out parts of them because it's Kingdom Death. And if you're familiar with Kingdom Death, you know why I have to blur out parts of it. But they had probably had the coolest booth out of everybody. Catalyst Games that you can see here in the picture, they had probably the easiest flow to it. I really liked what Catalyst Games had going on there. I really enjoyed Catalyst Games thing. I got a chance to just give you guys an experience. I can't think of, you guys could put it down in the comments below. Got to meet the head dude for Corvus Belly for Infinity. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. I totally just verified it. And I've got pictures. Oh, I should put pictures up. I will do that in the next video. At any rate, got to meet him. Got to meet the writer for Blade Runner RPG from Free League Publishing. Got to speak to one of their other authors and actually, I spoke to a lot of authors this GenCon weekend in regards to my RPG, and got some good feedback. And I'm getting some good feedback from my beta testers right now. I think we're on track. I just need to refine some things. Anyways, so I got some good advice for them. I'm going to look at implementing that advice. But got to meet Chris Birch over at Modifius. He's a head honcho for Modifius, and it is pronounced Modifius. I've seen some people or heard some people say in videos it's Modifius. Confirmed from Chris Birch, it is Modifius. Modifius. There we go. It's like the AT-AT. It's not ATST or ATAT or whatever. It's AT-AT. That's what George Lucas said. If you know that that thing, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so hitting up all these different studios or the stores was really cool experience. You got to meet with designers and pick their brain or just listen in on the conversations they're having with other people about the product. And the other cool thing is that you got to meet tons of people and overhear their conversations too, about their favorite product, about their favorite moments playing these games, what they liked about this game, what they didn't like, why this is their favorite, that sort of thing. And that the excitement of hearing all these passionate gamers and designers talk about their stuff was such a very cool, rewarding experience. We got to meet lots of different artists, and there's always artists that are just like, oh, good job, yay. These were like all top-notch artists almost. I don't think I saw, and I realized that, that these artists put a lot of effort and work into it, and obviously better than me at the artwork. But I still, we're all critics, right? We all have their own perception of what is good and what is bad. So there was definitely some art there that I was like, I wouldn't buy that. There was definitely art there. I was like, oh my God, I want to buy that, but I'm not going to spend $1,000 on one portrait. I can't justify that. But we had the Artist Alley, which everything I think was just absolutely great. And I don't think you go there as an artist paying the booth fees to, if you're not expecting to make your money back at the very least, because it's expensive to have a booth there. Trust me, I've already started pricing for when I take my RPG, either 2024, but probably 2025, up to GenCon, and it's expensive. So at any rate, moving on, just overall, there are some great things. You do have your, I don't want to say junk dealers, but you have your junk dealers, the people that'll set up booths with all the fake mall ninja swords, or you know what I mean. Like they're not good quality swords. They're wall hangers. They have all the things from like little foxtails that people wear on their butt, and the different dice stores, the bargain bin. It's like, hey, we've got overstock of this stuff. We're selling it from, our personal store here, that sort of thing. Oh yeah, I can see it on this picture right here. Steve Jackson was there from Steve Jackson Games. Kind of a boring dude. I'm not going to lie. He's kind of a boring dude. I've met him a couple times and gone to a couple of conferences there at Steve Jackson Games in Austin, and not a very entertaining guy, but they do put out some good games. That aside, and moving on. This is an example of like the gaming areas. And once again, this is not a picture of mine. The gaming areas in the hotels, basically the ballrooms, are set aside for the different companies. There are some open gaming rooms, but most of the rooms are for the companies. Like we had our own ballroom at Evil Genius Games for Everyday Heroes. We had 12 tables, I think, set up, and we were maxed out in every table. And we also had a theater set up because every night we were doing a double feature of like The Crow, Total Recall, Pacific Rim, that sort of thing. So we had there's all sorts of activities that go on at the con. So just something to think about. So my overall impression of going to GenCon is largely a positive one. I'm going to say about a 95% positive rating. I'm going to say 2% environmental negative reaction. Environmental as in just, there's just some stuff that I'm just like, this is just bad experience. Then a 3% are personal perception, bad experiences. So that aside, I think I probably would do Gen Con a second time. And if you guys have any questions about Gen Con, put it in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer. Like here, I want to go back. Now we're looking at my photos now. I didn't take that many because there's so much going on, guys. There's so much going on. But this is like the Kingdom Death booth. This is one of the good pictures of things at Kingdom Death. I'll do a Kingdom Death breakdown video probably a little after I edit some videos. The Warhammer store was really awesome. They had a really good powerful presence there. This is their life-size Terminator. There's me with my back brace next to the Terminator, so you guys can see how big that Terminator was. So it's like it basically brought a full-size Terminator with a decorative base or a diorama base, and they put the Terminator on a 40 millimeter base, or the equivalent of a full scale base. It was really cool. They also had their Primaris Marines. It was really cool. I really like. They always do some really cool statues. Swag, once again, a lot of rare stuff. Some stuff is easy to get. I think almost all this swag stuff was from other people or for other people. So would I do Gen Con again? Yeah, I think I would. But I think next time I'll probably work the booth a little bit more than I will run games. And I'm going to attend more classes. There's a lot of classes there I wanted to attend. There's some that I did not end up attending, even though I had a ticket, because I was so tired. So next time I'm going to go with a new agenda, having experienced Gen Con for the first time. Now that I popped that cherry, so to speak, I can now go there a little bit more informed and make maybe a little bit more rational decisions on my activities and how I pace myself physically. Like I said, that first day I covered close to just over 17 miles. Then every day after that was around 5 miles because I was not having it. But would I ever go again? Yeah, I would. I think Gen Con 2024 might be a different experience though for me, as we are getting very close to being getting all the refinements done for the RPG I've been working on, Advent Earth. We're going to be doing videos covering that in the near future, probably starting mid to late September. I'm not sure how we're going to do it because I don't have art yet for it. I've got art. It's AI art. And before anybody gets up in arms, it's AI art as a placeholder. I'm not using the AI art to make a profit or to sell in my book or anything, even though I can legally right now. It's not something I want to do. I got the art as a placeholder for the beta testing, and when I go to an artist, and I go, hey, this is the stuff I'm looking for. This many pictures, this size, this type of content, and here's some examples of real world photos, other people's art of what I'm looking for. That is a language that artists can understand. I mean, I can sit here as an author, type stuff out, and people can imagine stuff, but they need artists need they need visuals more than they need words. So be able to convey that to the artist. That's why I have that AI art. I'm not trying to sit here and justify. I'm going to be using that until I find that artist. And then when we find a good artist that I can afford, we'll use that content. We'll use their art for the RPG. So we're going to be building everything in InDesign in the near future. I'm going to be taking the next couple of weeks to learn a little bit more about InDesign, because it's a lot to understand to be able to build an RPG with. Because I also want to be able to take that and turn it into a PDF, and PDF that you can navigate. You click on this page, go to this page, that sort of thing. And there's a lot that goes into it. So, why did I say that? Because ideally, I would like to go to Origins and GenCon in 2024 with my RPG. Do I think it'll happen? No, because there's still a lot going on. It could end up being 2025. If I use my head, it'll be 2025. At any rate, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have questions, comments, go and put it in the comments below, especially in regards to Gen Con my RPG, Advent Earth. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button and thumbs up. I appreciate it. Until tomorrow, I'll talk to you guys later.